Internalized subjugation. It is a concept that examines the process of an ethnic minority group internalizing the legitimacy of a foreign people to rule over them. This can take shape in foreign politics, but its primary application is in domestic avenues of control. One of the most common ways this occurs is through the acceptance of external, or publicly allowable answers as in-group conclusions. If a nation-state is particularly sensitive to losing its grip on power, especially to its minorities, a culture of forced patriotism will commonly arise. Because the minority group cannot speak openly about their true opinions without the risk of retaliation, the only narrative that is available to the public is the one that supports the positions of the state. The strength of this narrative is in its repeated usage at any points of contention between the two peoples. If this goes on for long enough, the true internal beliefs of a people will begin to mesh with the artificial or external. By the time of the next generation, there will be little distinction, as the new group will not have lived in a time when this difference was visible. To return back to something resembling the original state of mind, in cases like this, a process of systematic nationalization must occur. In the case of the Rusyn, it is Rusynification. Now, how does this relate to our situation today? Well, in particular, we can look at Ukraine, Subcarpathia, and how the Rusyns live in this region. Not only are we seen as potential separatists, but to not get in trouble, we must go along with the exact mainstream narrative that the central government and the media of Ukraine pushes. Now, this means that Rusyns cannot talk openly about their issues. They cannot discuss how their language is being silenced. They cannot discuss how these problems of identity have greatly impacted them being able to show and develop and live within their own culture. This is simply not possible, because if they stray at all, problems will arise. Now, I don't want to talk about group solutions to this issue. I don't want to talk about a way in which Rusyns, as a unit, as a nation, can fight back against that. However, what I do want to do is do the first step in this journey, to begin to understand within yourself where internalized subjugation is. You want to be able to figure out how much it has taken root inside of you. And you can learn this by doing a simple game. First, take any political or cultural issue you like, whether it be civil rights, sovereignty, language, and first think about what your opinion is in a Rusyn context. For example, should Rusyn be a language that is taught in schools and universities? After you've made up your mind, try to examine what a different nation would think on the topic regarding their own situation. For example, what would the overwhelming majority of Poles and Germans say when asked the same question about their own native language in their own native country? If your answer is incredibly different from theirs, then know that this is probably not the true intellectually sovereign answer aligned with what is best for the Rusyn people. It is in fact one that is shaped by external politics and suppression. Perhaps the country you live in is uncomfortable with the answer you would give, or you have internalized the feeling that we are not worthy. The point is, something is amiss here, where an external answer became an internal one. Eventually you have to speak on the contradictions you find in yourself and our community if you wish to move past them. This includes us grouping together and somehow being able to figure out a solution to repel this internalized subjugation to some degree. We're going to have to find out a way as a group to do that. But for now, just think on this little game, this little example. What things have you begun to realize that may not actually be the correct answer for Rusyns? And with that, I will see you next week.